Our next topic and our next speaker is going to tell us how you can launch a new product and a category through targeted influencers relationships. So please give a round of applause for the Vice President at Traackr, Mr. Nicolas Chabot. Have fun.
Thank you. All right. So, Entschuldigung, ich spreche nicht Deutsch. Ich habe Deutsch 10 Jahre am Schule gelernt, and that's all I can say. So, here we are. So, apologies. I'm going to switch to English today. So let's start with introductions. All right. So Orange, I don't know if you guys know about it. It is basically the equivalent to Deutsche Telekom. In France, it's the global telecom leader. All right. Traackr is a technology company that was founded in the United States in 2009 and has been working all this time on the concept of influence on social. And I will tell you a bit more about it. We are in the US, we are in Europe, and we work with brands like Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, Forbes, Intel, even SAP as well, and publicists to help them develop and implement the influencer marketing program. All right. And I am Nicolas, and I head the development of Traackr in Europe. So what I'd like to know as well is who you are. So who in the room would say that he or she is an influencer? Anyone? On social? One? I see one hand there. Just one. All right. Interesting. And who uses influencer marketing for their company, for their own communication? A few more. All right. So what I get from that is, the fact that we only have one influencer in the room is actually normal. That is the whole point of being an influencer. There are very few of them. All right? And it's interesting, I've been working around the conference prior to coming here, and especially there's a room where there's like marketing and communication, digital transformation or marketing communication, and really, there's just no one talking about influencer marketing here. It's all about CRM and processes and improving the customer experience. And why this is really good is just makes me think that influencer marketing isn't so well understood yet or really implemented. So what I'm going to do today is share with you a real-life example of how influencer marketing can be used by your big brand. So the concept behind it is, I would say, pretty different from what you've heard from the previous speaker. The concept around influencer marketing is based on one insight that is absolutely key, is that very, very few people drive most of the impact on social. So you can make a choice. You can decide to try to talk and engage with everyone, or to focus on those that actually have an impact on conversation and create trust. So you can engage with your 4,000 employees, or try to find within those employees who are those who actually have an impact on social and focus your engagement on these guys. Okay. So the concept of influencer marketing is really about focus, finding the right people and riding with these guys. Okay. We traditionally say at Traackr that probably 3% of individuals generate 90% of the impact, but probably 0.6% also generate 60% of the impact. So imagine, instead of working with 4,000 employees, you start working with 40 employees. I'm relating to the previous presentation that was here. How is that going to change the way that you can engage, the way that you can create content, and the way you can have a meaningful relationship with all these people? Okay. So let's have a look now on how actually Orange has used influencer marketing for the launch of Home Life. So Home Life is a product that was launched 1 year ago. So this case, it is 1 year old. and it's a connected home product. I guess you guys, you're familiar with this product. They enable you to control your home devices from your smartphone. Or you can control your washing machine, your heating, your security devices, all the way from the smartphone. So it's actually a piece of kit, a physical piece of kit. And for Orange, this is pretty new because these guys are used to sell subscriptions, services. And this is really trying to make a foray into a new area, selling devices and connect services and devices. So it was really new for them, a completely new sector, completely new kind of product. So they had three objectives: generate brand awareness around the product, generate desirability, because it's a home product, you put it in your home place, but also really build credibility in the sector on this kind of kits. So the challenge that they gave themselves is, how do I create a communication strategy based on trust from the experts and from social leaders? And that's what we're going to look at now. So, when you're like a big B2C company like that and you have a huge reach, it's difficult to understand, where do I start? Who are my influencers? Who are the people that I should need to work with? So the way we worked with Orange is we helped them actually segment their target audience, and we worked along what we call the consumer awareness process, trying to take people from the aware stage to interested to convert to the conversion stage, and identifying at each stage what are the best positioned community that could have an impact for the brand. So at the early stage of that funnel, we have identified what we call the marketing and communication community. These people are social media managers, they are marketing managers, they're hyper-connected, they're super present on social, they usually have fairly big networks, and they like whatever is new. So they are a good community to create visibility, to create awareness on social. Then, to create desirability and interest, we looked at the lifestyle and design community. Okay, people who will talk about the product from a design point of view, from your home point of view. And then, on the bottom of the funnel, on the conversion side, we looked at real experts on the topic. At the end, they are really technical products. So there are people who actually talk about high-tech products, talk about connected home products, and we wanted to engage with these guys to build the credibility of the product. What is interesting with Orange is that they're not starting from scratch. Okay? And influencer marketing is a long-term game because it's about relationships. But Orange has been working on the topic for years, so they already have a core community of people that they know, that they engage with day in, day out. So they were able, for this campaign, for this launch, to rely on their friends, their network of advocates, that could actually form the basis of the campaign. And then they looked to recruit new community that they probably didn't know about or didn't work with on a regular basis, like the lifestyle and design community or the connected home community. So it's all about leveraging your relationship and trying to expand your network campaign after campaign. And what Orange did was very smart, is they tailored engagement on each community. So one of the questions that we get asked most frequently by our clients is, okay, that's all very nice, I understand how I identify my influencers, but what's next? What do I do with them? How do I engage? How do I talk to them? What's the secret sauce here if I want to have an impact? And the second question I get is, but how do I measure my impact? What are the KPIs? And this example here of Orange is extremely interesting because they prove how actually engagement is tailored by each community and how KPIs can be different across the different communities because you're not expecting the same thing from the different communities that you're looking at. And that's extremely interesting. For example, for the marketing and communication community, we were looking for visibility and reach, all right? Basically sharing on social. So they created, with the agency, this social kit that encourages people to share. It's a bit of a game. There's a bit of social gaming here and encourages people to create mentions on social. For the lifestyle and design community, it was a much more, let's say, brand-focused event. We're looking to build the image of the product. We're looking for visuals. We're not looking at the same kind of networks as well. So a completely different kind of engagement here. And for the high-tech and connected home community, we are looking for product reviews. We're looking to build our SEOs. We're looking to build our ranking on the Google homepage, and we're looking to reassure our customers about the quality of the product. So here we did product launch, product testing, and asked people to review the product. So different engagement strategies on each community, tailored to the objective that we have for each of them, and with different KPIs and measurements. Okay, so there's not just one engagement that is unique, on one objective that is unique. And even within the same project, you see how you can segment those. So on the marketing and communication community, they had this skill called Bouger Roger, let's move Roger. It was pretty funny operation where you could actually tweet using the hashtag and ask Roger, who was on the wayside, to do something. So it was all about how can I, just from my smartphone, create a remote action. All right? So there was a bit of competition here, and it was pretty cool. For the lifestyle and design community, they actually did something that was really more exclusive. They invited all these bloggers and journalists together in this Italian fashion room, and they talked, about the product from the fashion point of view, and actually they organized some photo shooting within the store, within the concept store, to put the product on location. And for the high-tech and connected home community, they organized this testing program. So basically, it was a whole loan operation where people could come, get the kit, connect it, see it work, and report about it in a completely open way. And because it's a new launch, they had a few challenges around some of the reports that they got back, but it was really open, and in terms of the content that people will then publish. So, all very nice. So how did they leverage technology to do that? Okay, so how did we help Orange make a success of that operation? So the first element is that I mentioned Orange is already managing a community of influencers, people that they engage with every day. So the first step for them was to understand within their existing communities who are the influencers that they could be activating for this campaign, okay? And because they manage, it's like a CRM for your influencers. They have this database of influencers that they know, and they can look at, and that they can sort to find out who are the people that they can activate for each campaign. Then, Traackr helped them to find new individuals, new influencers. Okay? Influencers are very contextual. So the search engine that we make available in Traackr enable our customers to find influencers on specific topics. So on each of the communities, who are the influencers on lifestyle and decoration, on the connected home. And we looked at all their conversations to find the people who are really active and engaging on that topic. We look at how they're connected, how they engage online, how the community is structured. And we can map out the different communities together to understand, for example, in this illustration here, how the high-tech community and the connected home community actually connect with each other. What are the bridges? Who are the people who generate most engagement in that community? So it's really a lot in the planning phase about getting insights in the community, really finding the right people who will be able to help me here. And then it's really about listening. Okay, listening to the content that they publish. How do they talk about my topic? How can I engage effectively? And trying to build a conversation with these guys. There is no shortcut. You have to engage, and you have to start, let's say, being open about the conversation. And finally, and naturally, we provide all the measurement from the campaign. So Orange was able to measure in Traackr the impact of their campaign, the number of mentions, the share of voice, and really track the success across all their communities and all their activities. Okay? So really what technology is here for is to provide all the data and all the management tools that enable them to build success and focus on the engagement. So, what did they achieve through that campaign? Here are a few results. So this is very interesting with the range because there was no other communication investment than the program that I've just described to you. Okay, so it's pretty interesting because you could say that all the results, all the outcomes that we've created have come just from that program. They created, on the good traffic on the website, very strong traffic, 20,000 visitors per day on HomeLife's website. They had more than 200 pieces of content created by those influencers that they engage with. And if you look at the social web, they counted in the 4 months that the campaign lasted, 14,000 mentions, and importantly, they really took ownership of all the conversations around the connected home. 60% of the conversations on the connected home and social were on HomeLife for a product that just didn't exist a few weeks earlier, and just talking to a few people. 60% of the conversations. And they managed to have a huge impact on Google and SEO, and I'll show you a bit more on that because that's extremely important. That's a bit more detail on how you can take ownership on conversations. So when they did the analysis of all the conversations on their topic on social, this is what they found. HomeLife Box, 42% of conversations. HomeLife app, 18%. And all the rest of the conversations, 40%. Pretty amazing. And when you look more specifically at the role of influencers in that, you see, for example, just on the marketing and communication community, just at that one, if you look at the number of publications, there were, let me do the sum, 1,334 publications. Correct me if I'm wrong. And just 41 from influencers. They activated 77 people. They had 41 publications. The graph is actually misleading because 41 is just 3%. It's a very thin line of all the publications. And these guys created more than 25% of all the impressions of the campaign. Okay? And it's even more if you look at engagement on those impressions. Okay? And what we don't know, but we can expect that out of the 1,300 other publications, many of them were just the results of engaging through influencers as well. So really, talking to a very small number of people created a disproportionate amount of the impact on the campaign. If you look now on another community, the connected home community, and focus on this one, this is it's a small group of people. People who talk about the connected home on the web, they are a few, but it's like, tens. It's not hundreds of thousands, right? And it's interesting. These people never talked to Orange or about Orange in the past. They had no engagement with the brand previously. You can see on this graph that they started mentioning the brand during the launch and then during the test of the product. What is interesting is these guys, because they got involved in that trial program, started to write about it and produce blog posts and reviews. And that enabled Orange to actually take ownership of the first page of Google at 100%. So 100% of the home page was taken over by HomeLife, two first line with their own assets, and everything else through reviews from influencers that were part of the launch of the test program. Pretty amazing. And they even take the 2 first places on the search on just a very open search on connected home. The 2 first results were reviews from the bloggers of the program. But what is interesting is that in this campaign, they started to build long-term relationship with these guys. So because they started to know that community, these people started to engage with the brand. They started to comment on the forum. Some of these guys are just passionate about connected home. I don't know, but these guys believe in it. So they started to answer questions from other customers on the forum. And they start to become moderators themselves, just taking the initiative, to the point that Orange actually invited them to meet their marketing department and think together about the roadmap of the product for the future. So it's very interesting how when you start working with the experts and people who know their topic, how you can involve them, not just in your communication, but also in your customer service, also in your product marketing. Pretty amazing. So key lessons. What do we get out of that? So the first lesson to create impact is segmentation. Okay, and segmenting communities, thinking about my customer survey, having some specific goals from each of these communities, and providing value and content specifically for each of them. You engage and you are successful if you provide value. Giving a free product trial to that connected home community was great value for these guys because they're just passionate about these kind of products. That's what they're right about. Okay? And define some proper KPIs for each of your communities. Segmentation, segment your engagement, segment your results. And the takeaway from that is, that's really a great door into opening longer-term relationship. And the fact that now Orange has a long-term relationship with all those bloggers on the Tornado Home is a great long-term benefit from the company. These people have become advocates of the brand because they feel super close to it, because they're involved in a sector that they had no presence in just a few weeks before. So this is our experience. This is the experience from a big brand who started to experiment, and on the longer term, we're working in influencers. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys, what is your experience, and maybe you have some questions. Questions? Do we have a microphone in the organization, or? You can yell. I will repeat your question. Sorry, I don't hear you. How is the microphone? Let's make this interactive. Let's chat. Let's build a relationship.
Thanks. Yeah, let's build a relationship through this microphone. So earlier you were talking about finding those connections between influencers, and that to me seems like one of the main steps, because you can get a bunch of one-off hits from influencers, but then you've kind of worked a long time to get a bunch of one-off hits that are unrelated. Whereas finding those relationships between influencers is the key to do less work and more output. So is it a matter of working with your company to do that? Or is there a DIY solution to finding those really valuable relationships between influencers?
Do you mind just introducing yourself?
Oh, yes. My name is Cameron Postlewaite. I'm a marketing director for Sewell, where we make AV products. OK, thank you. So as you say, there's always a DIY way to do it. So a lot of people do influencer marketing, on handcrafted, and that works very well. It's when you scale it that you start to have program. But for example, Orange has been working with this high-tech community for a while, and they started before working with us. And basically, after a while, you invite them to breakfast, you invite them to events, you get to know these people. We in Europe, we are local. Okay, you're not talking like a global community. So after a while, you really start to build a physical relationship face-to-face, and you know these connections. Now, however, when you start scaling, when you gain experience, and when you start expanding outside of your core community, this is where you're blind. Okay, and this is where technology, let's say, gives you indications and hints to how these people connect and how you might want to work with them. But technology is never going to replace real life. So technology is a shortcut, to provide you with data-driven insights. But as you know, engagement and relationship go beyond what you can read on Twitter. But I think the two work well together. Questions?
I saw a few people say that they actually were running a few influencer marketing campaigns, so I'd love to hear what they do. No?
Okay. You got one question? We've got time for one more question here from Mr. Chabot.
So if no one else has any questions, so our influencer program is mainly a PR program. You know, we reach out to publications, we talk about our technology, we try to make ourselves the thought leader in our niche, and we hope for the best. So I guess my other question is, what are some out-of-the-box ways to provide more value to the influencer rather than just the news story? That's the main value that we provide to the influencer now. When I say news story, I really mean this is how you can implement this in your life, and it'll improve your life for this reason. That's the information that is valuable to the influencer. But I would wonder, what other ways do you, I guess, provide value to the influencer to create really strong relationships with them?
It's a great question, and I think here there's not just one single answer, and what we say is like relationship is a journey. So the way you provide value with people depends on where you are with the journey with those influencers. We like to organize these guys from unaware, aware, to interested, and advocate for your company, and your engagement strategy changes across all of these stages. In the same way that when you meet someone in a nightclub, you will not ask her or him to marry you on the first date. And it's a bit of the same with influencers, and the way a lot of brands get it wrong is they ask to marry influencers on the first date, and they haven't built that relationship, and that value gets created over time. What we like to promote in terms of the sort of the deep relationship is when you start to talk about co-creation. So how do we actually co-create content together? And moving from this idea that you expect something from influencers and they're going to help you, they're going to provide you with reach, to how can I help them, how can I co-create content with them for their own audience. And I think that works very well. And if you provide them with resources, that's going to help them with providing great value for their audience. I think you're creating a good relationship. We work, for example, with a retail organization in the UK called Co-op, and they have a great influencer program. And for example, in November, they organized a big conference, smaller than this one, but like a training program for a day. And the training program was all about how do you improve the SEO performance of your blog. There was not one word about the products of the company. There was not one word about the company. It was just about, we actually going to help you improve your performance as a writer of your blog and understand SEO. So you can go really all the way in terms of building the relationship by providing value to the guys that you want to get some trust from. Right, well, thank you all for your attention.
Mr. Chabot, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.